What's going on, guys? This is Empty Box, and today once again we're talking about sim racing, specifically the various sims out there. Today's episode is going to be specifically about one sim and one sim in particular, because I feel it is almost required, because it is that radically different from the rest, and that would be iRacing. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, because this sim does generate a massive amount of animosity on both sides of the fence towards one section or the other section of people, it's not for everyone. My goal with this video is not to get you interested in iRacing. It's not to make you go out and instantly go, "Oh my god, iRacing's the best thing ever!" Or, "Oh my god, iRacing's the stupidest thing ever." It's neither of that. I want to make an actual factual video about iRacing that is fair on both sides of the fence, because honestly there are a lot of drawbacks, there are a lot of pros to this sim. But it is not for everyone, and that is perfectly fine. This is not the greatest thing since sliced bread. This isn't the end-all be-all. This isn't the most realistic sim ever. It's just a very good sim. But anyways, let us begin. Now, the differences begin before we even get to the actual driving, the pricing. This is the number one hot button issue when it comes to iRacing, and it always gets very heated whenever this comes up. There's no way to hide it. There's no way to even try and not talk about it. You have to talk about it, because it is the main downside to iRacing. It's expensive. It's very expensive. Obviously, using a subscription-based model, you can quickly rack up quite a total. If you want to go ahead and buy all the content out there that is available, you will be looking at, well over $1,000 at this point. It is hugely expensive. You can't hide that. That said, a lot of people do overreact to it and go crazy and just spin wildly, flailing their arms. In terms of the subscription price, it's $12 a month, which is month-to-month basis, the most expensive option. 3 months for $20, I believe, and 1 year for $99. They also do run promotions, such as sometimes you can get 2 years for the price of one, and around Black Friday, which would be the Friday after Thanksgiving, which is the fourth Thursday in November for you people outside the United States. You can get big discounts and everything. If you even race, if you do a full season, they'll give you credits back. There's a lot of discounts, but again, you can't hide it. It's still very expensive, and that's not even including the price of content and buying the tracks. That said, at the same time, if you purchase a piece of content and you decide to unsubscribe and come back later, it'll still be there. You don't have to stay subscribed the entire time. I've unsubscribed for iRacing 16 bajillion times. I've been here, been back, been doing 16 other things. Come and go. There's no problem with that. And you don't need to wonder what's going to happen to your content. It's all saved there. You can pick up later on when you decide to rejoin if you do. It is what it is. There's no way you can hide it. That's just the way it is. Do I wish it was the way it was? No, but it is right now, so we have to deal with it. That's going to be the main thing that will decide probably whether or not you stay interested in iRacing, if it's something that you even want to pursue. Anyways, let's move on to the rest, the actual sim part. Okay, and before we even get to the driving, once again, there's also the fact that iRacing insists on calling itself a service, not a sim. Personally, I thought this was kind of really absolutely silly and was just trying to make itself sound more interesting and more like a premium edition to justify the price. Having been there for 3.5 years now, I would honestly agree that it is more of a service than just a sim. There are so many things on the back end that you might not even pay attention to, such as the forums, which can assist you in setting up a car and giving you different setups and tips and tricks, and just a wide variety of information there and discussion going on. There's obviously chat features, there's matchmaking obviously in the races, hosted servers, so you can do league racing. There's a lot of stuff here that's just beyond the sim, and unfortunately no other sim can say that. That is something that iRacing has really done well. Rather than just creating a sim, they've actually created an entire environment. Although again, if you're unsubscribed, you have zero access to that environment. You can't even check the forums and see what's going on the inside, basically, which is rather unfortunate if you ask me. But Okay, I think we can actually talk about the sim now. Now let's begin to talk about the sim itself, because once again it is radically different than any other option available currently. First of all, let's talk about the structure, because this is important to know and to understand before you even begin, because this can really impact whether or not you are interested in iRacing or not. There are two main trees that you can go down. There is the roadside tree, which is all the roadside content, and then there is the oval side tree. You can be a Class A oval driver and still be a rookie on the roadside, and vice versa. It is how things work. If you want to drive ovals, you have to work on ovals. If you want to drive road courses, you have to work on road courses. Just because I have a Class A license on roadside doesn't mean I can drive a NASCAR Sprint Cup car. It's just the way things work. Now, the other thing you have to understand is content is also licensed, in terms of you have to have a specific license level within those trees to be able to actually use them in official sessions. For example, the Williams FW31 is a Class A road car. That means I have to go through Rookie, D Class, C Class, B Class, and then I can finally race the FW31 if I so choose. Only then can I race that car in an official session. I can use it in hosted racing, which is basically what it sounds like, hosted racing, league races, that type of thing. Same thing applies to the oval side as well. However, because of that fact, you do have to go through those trees. If you want to race everything completely, you're going to have to work through the entire progression, which is, again, rather expensive. This is something that a lot of people have great problems with, but I will say this. Some of the best cars in the service are at very low levels. The NASCAR truck, which is at a C class, which is rather easily reachable without even going crazy and breaking the bank, is immensely popular. You have cars on the roadside, such as the McLaren, which, again, very easy to access. It is what it is. That's just how they have it designed. Do I like it? Again, no. But now that I'm actually here, again, A-class license, and have had one for a very long time, it doesn't even matter to me. It's just one of those things that up front is very intimidating. The other thing you must realize is iRacing is multiplayer. That is primarily what it is. There's no way to really sum it up as anything other than that. The only thing you can do solo, quote-unquote, single player, requires you to connect to the website first and then launch. What you can launch from there is a one-car solo offline testing session. However, seeing how you still have to connect to the website first, it is basically somewhat similar to an always online DRM type situation, although if your connection to the iRacing servers blows up for whatever reason, you can still continue to drive around in circles by yourself, which is incredibly boring. There is no AI, and there probably never will be AI, judging by some of the polls that have been done regarding AI. And here's a hint, Papyrus actually made great AI. So yeah, it's not going to happen. Then there is also the issue of content. What do you want to drive and where do you want to drive it? If you want a specific car, you have to hope iRacing licenses it and creates it, because iRacing is not moddable. Now, on the oval side, this isn't really too much of an issue, where the entire NASCAR Sprint Cup schedule has been licensed and is in production. They currently have all but 2 tracks currently available, Kansas and Fontana, both of which are in progress and will be done later on this year. They also have the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series car. They also have the NASCAR Nationwide. They have the NASCAR trucks, modifieds, late models, street stocks. Pretty much the entire oval side is more or less filled in and good to go. However, on the road side, this becomes a much more important issue. For example, if you want a BTCC style touring car, currently you don't have anything. You don't have that currently here. Now, they do offer a wide variety of cars already, but sometimes you want a specific car. This is something on the road side that is obviously a much more important thing than on the oval side, where, for example, a NASCAR Sprint Cup, a Ford, and a Chevy are more or less exactly the same. So, it is what it is. Again, that's just one of the drawbacks that you have to learn to live with. Same thing also goes for tracks. Some tracks will probably never happen because of either it takes too long to make them, it wouldn't be profitable, the track itself wouldn't allow the licensing, it'd just be too expensive or it'd take too long to make, such as pretty much any street circuit. Long Beach has been, quote-unquote, in the works for 4 years now. At this point, you're probably thinking I absolutely despise iRacing. Let's actually start to get into the stuff that makes iRacing unique in terms of the actual driving and the racing. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking I absolutely hate iRacing. However, now we're starting to get into the stuff that is actually a plus for iRacing that is much harder to dispute. First of all, iRacing uses laser scanned tracks. Currently, they are the only sim on the market to do so. However, Assetto Corsa will be using this technology as well, though it is also known that iRacing's method is also more precise. That said, you probably won't notice the difference between the two. Now, the benefits of laser scanning is pretty simple. It makes sure that every last detail on the circuit is transferred into your game. Simple as that. Every last bump, detail, elevation changes. You might not think it makes a big difference. A lot of the bumps are absorbed by the car and the suspension and all that good stuff, and you never really actually feel them. However, there are several circuits where there are such very small levels of banking through various corners that aren't even picked up in any other sim. I think about Sebring, for example. That is a place that no other sim has actually gotten correct, because every last corner is banked in a very subtle manner, very difficult to pick up. But the laser scanning process picks up all those very small little elevation changes. It makes a huge difference on some tracks. Some tracks it doesn't really matter. That said, I love it. I love the extra detail that it gives you. Then we get into the biggest selling point, in my opinion, the racing. Now, because iRacing uses a licensed system, you do have to drive cleanly to progress. You can't smash into everything and expect to end up driving a Sprint Cup car or a Formula 1 car. It's not going to happen. That said, it is also quite easy to progress if you are a decent driver and not hitting things all of the time. So how does that content actually perform? Well, to be quite frank, the physics aren't that great. They aren't terrible. You'll get used to them, but they're not as good as they are in other sims. That said, at any one given time, I truly feel that iRacing is 3 months away from being the best on the market. They have a 3-month update schedule that has been going on for the last 4 years and will continue to go on as this project continues to evolve. If you ask me, it's currently not the best. That said, they talk about things that other sims probably haven't even considered, such as the temperature from the brakes affecting the tire pressure. I can't think of any other sim where that's actually been something that you need to worry about. I mean, that's pretty silly. That said, the tire isn't the best right now. Could it be? Yeah, very well could be. Is it right now? No, it's not. A lot of the issues do stem when you get sideways, when you get a little bit too much slip angle. It is over-exaggerated currently. It is what it is. It's very unforgiving in its driving currently. Again, that very well could change. I can think back, to a couple years ago with the Star Mazda, for example. If you even so much looked at a curb, you would die. It would just kill you. It'd just be like, boom, you're dead. Now, you can just bounce that thing off of curbing all day long, no problems. It evolves, it changes, it updates. So again, it's kind of difficult to say in that regard. Currently, it's not the best, but again, it's livable, it's workable, so long as you don't sit there and complain every 2 seconds about it. But again, to some people, that is the end-all, be-all, end of discussion right there. So let's actually get on to the things that make iRacing great, if you ask me. That one thing that makes iRacing complete, makes it worth being with, in my opinion, is the racing itself. I will not race multiplayer in any other sim. And I didn't race multiplayer in any other sim before I started racing at iRacing. Why is this? Because multiplayer in other sims is full of morons, douchebags, trolls, asshats, wreckers, just people you don't want to be around, people you don't want to be with. That said, a lot of those people are also at iRacing. It still exists. People are going to be douchebags all over the place. It is what it is. However, because of the licensing and safety rating system in place at iRacing, the racing is significantly cleaner. It is actually racing. I personally cannot think of a single instance in the last 2.5 years where I've been involved in a turn 1, lap 1 wreck. Maybe I'm just lucky, maybe I'm just really good at avoiding turn 1 wrecks, but in R Factor, that happens every second race. You can count on it. It's not even racing at that point when you can expect half the field to blow up 15 seconds into the race. You know, I can think of many instances here at iRacing where I've done moves that in any other sim I would be hoping to, whatever religious figure you choose, that I didn't get wadded up into a ball and have to sit there waiting for the next race to start. For example, 3 wide into 130R at Suzuka. Yeah, been there, done that. We all survived. It was great. That right there is why I like iRacing. That's what sells me on iRacing. It's not the physics, it's not the tracks, it's not the cars, it's the racing. Currently, nowhere else does that actually feel of racing exist. And that is the thing. Is it worth it? Are you that unsatisfied with the racing elsewhere? Is it that big of a deal to you? Again, that is your decision. You know, there are plenty of people out there who enjoy open server racing in R Factor. There's nothing wrong with that. If you do, go ahead, enjoy it, live it up. You know, it's not up to me to tell you what you can and can't enjoy. But again, I truly feel that the racing itself does make up for a lot of the drawbacks that iRacing has. But that is your decision to make if you are interested in iRacing. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, once again, I will put promo codes that are currently available down in the description below. If those are changed, I'm not going to be able to update them for every single promotion. I'm not going to put my referral email, though, because I don't want to be up here saying, oh yeah, you should get iRacing, because I truly feel like that would be counterproductive. Again, I would suggest you try it out with one of the promo codes and see if you like it. You know, see if you enjoy it. See if it's something that is worth it to you. Because you can have a lot of people say, oh, it's terrible, or it's not worth it. Again, that's your decision and your decision alone. So, that's iRacing. And yes, that really did warrant a full video just on itself, basically. So, that's that. In the next episode, we'll be talking about the sims that are on the horizon, because we do have a very good selection coming up here within the next year or so. So it's going to be a very exciting time for sim racing. So that's this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. All right, bye.